Ah, welcome, my dear. They called you reckless, then called you ruined, then called you gone. But here you are, not breathing air. No, you're devouring it. Because after 17 elegant little attempts to erase you, you're still the stain they can't scrub out. Funny, isn't it? They built traps with trembling fingers, cast curses with cracked tongues, and sharpened knives thinking they'd taste your silence. But instead, they tasted something else. You, raw, untamed, inconveniently alive. The kind of alive that disturbs graves. They whispered your death like a bedtime story, hoping repetition would make it real. But every time they dragged your name to the gallows, you slipped the noose and grinned with your scars. You didn't just survive, you evolved. You didn't dodge bullets, you learned to eat them. And now the echo of your name doesn't carry pity, it carries prophecy. They thought the fire would finish you. They forgot. Some creatures are born inside it. You never crawled out of the ashes. You made them. Every time they thought they'd reduced you to dust, they didn't realize you were just collecting yourself, piece by piece, fury by fury. Until the day your shadow no longer followed you, it led. They wanted you broken because they fear what a focused you can do. They want control, but they can't manage what they don't understand. And you are an enigma with blood under your nails and patience in your bones. They called you impulsive, but you were calculating their collapse all along. 17 times. 17 failed executions. That's not coincidence. That's incompetence meeting fate with trembling hands. You became their recurring nightmare not by chance, but by choice. Because when they tried to bury you, they dug shallow graves with borrowed shovels. They underestimated the thing that lives in you. The part of you that doesn't beg to survive, it demands to be reckoned with. Let them talk. Let them spin their new theories. Maybe it was magic. Maybe a deal with the devil. Maybe a clone, or an illusion, or a curse. It kills them more to imagine that you're just you. No gimmicks, no secret powers, just pain sculpted into purpose. Just rage refined into rhythm. Just you, refusing to die when dying would have been easier. See, most people survive wounds. You weaponized them. You didn't stitch yourself back together with thread. You used wire, metal, memory, and a little bit of madness. And now, they see it, in your eyes. That twitch in their spines isn't paranoia, it's premonition. The kind that smells like gasoline and sounds like footsteps in the hallway long after they thought they were safe. They made you into a warning, and now that warning walks, breathes, watches, waits, you're not here to be forgiven, you're here to collect 17 times. That's not failure, that's obsession. They didn't just want you gone, they needed it. Needed to erase the reminder that someone like you exists. Someone who doesn't fold. Someone who doesn't shrink under pressure, but grows fangs. Every scheme they drafted in candlelit rooms, every whisper they slipped into the ears of traitors, every little trap baited with lies. You've walked through it all, not untouched, not unharmed, but undeniably undone. And in that undoing, you found something better than peace. You found clarity, the kind that carves through illusion and slices down to bone. The kind of clarity that doesn't hesitate. You are not a phoenix, you are the flame itself. And now their castles feel colder, their rooms quieter, because they know you're not done. You're circling. You didn't come back to prove a point. You are the point. The end of the sentence they tried to write in your absence. the period at the end of their delusion. They thought they had time. They thought they had leverage. But time bows to the unkillable. And leverage snaps when it's leaned on too hard. You walked away from every trap they built with a souvenir in your hand, a secret, a weakness, a name. And now your pockets are full of receipts. And one by one they'll pay, not in cash, not in blood, but in dread. You won't scream, you won't shout, you'll just exist, and that will be enough to ruin their sleep. Because what do you do when the monster you created stops chasing and starts watching? You want to know why they fear you now? It's not the scars. It's not even the survival. It's the silence, the calm that follows a storm that never truly passed. You are that calm, deceptive, steady, measured, the kind that doesn't warn before the next strike. And they know it. They feel it. In every delayed message, every forgotten smile, every hesitation before they speak your name aloud. They don't know if you're near, but they know you're never far. You turned yourself into a legend with nothing but pain and patience. You made your trauma echo loud enough to drown out their lies. And now, the echo has become thunder. They tried 17 times, and each attempt left behind a version of you more refined, more ruthless, more real. You're not their failure, you're their mirror. You reflect the consequences of their cowardice, and mirrors don't lie. They only reveal. That's why they break them. But no matter how many shards they scatter, your image remains. Fractured, sure, but unbroken. You are not stitched from hope. You are forged from aftermath. And in every crack of your soul, there's a story they can't silence. You are the sum of every betrayal, every blow, every fall, and still, you stand. Not out of stubbornness, out of design. You were built to withstand the kind of chaos they can't calculate. The truth is, you're not just unkillable, you're unforgettable. And they hate that more. Death was their mercy, but memory is your revenge. You haunt in daylight now. You walk in their victories like a shadow they can't shake. You became the consequence they never budgeted for. Because how do you kill something that learned to love the fall? How do you erase someone who turns every death into a doctrine? The answer is, you don't. You endure. You outlast. You unsettle. And in doing so, you redefine the rules. They wanted to write your ending, but you became the sequel that won't stop bleeding into their present. And this is just the beginning. Because what follows, 17, failed endings, is not rest. It's reckoning. Because reckoning doesn't knock. It kicks the damn door open and drags names out by the hair. You see, there comes a moment when the hunted stops running. Not because they're tired, but because they've studied every hunter's footstep, memorized every twitch in the hand that pulls the trigger. You've reached that moment, the point where you no longer need to chase justice, because now justice screams your name in its sleep. You didn't ask for vengeance, you became it. Not loud, not desperate. Precise, cold, almost surgical. Because after 17 times, you don't return with rage. You return with a blueprint. And each piece of that blueprint is a face, a name, a date. And oh, they thought you forgot. They thought you healed. But healing was never on your to-do list. No, you were busy building. They will pretend to forget. They will decorate the past in innocence, paint over their crimes with nostalgia, speak of accidents and misunderstandings. But your memory? It's a museum, not a graveyard. Nothing stays buried. You cataloged every smirk, every dagger dressed as a handshake, every apology forged from ego. And now, the exhibits are opening. The spotlight turns on them, and under that burning clarity, their truths will blister. It's poetic, really. They wanted you gone because you threatened their illusion. But now, you've become the curator of consequences. And this time, no one gets to look away. The funny part? They still think they have time. Still believe there's a version of this where they can rewrite what they did, soften it with flowers and silence. But what they don't understand is you're not a page in their story anymore. You're the margin notes written in fire. You are the ink that bleeds through the lies, staining every chapter they try to erase you from. They've spent years perfecting the art of vanishing guilt, hiding it behind smiles, smirks, sermons. But you carried every drop of that guilt across dimensions of pain and patience. You didn't just remember, you evolved with it. And now when you speak, your words sound like verdicts. Not loud, not angry, just final. You've learned to haunt without making a sound. A stare, a presence, a silence thick enough to crack ribs. They used to mock your pain. Now they study it like it holds the key to their survival. And in a way, it does. Because you're not just showing them what they did. You're showing them what it made. The aftermath. The echo that walks upright. The reckoner that breathes strategy. And oh, how it terrifies them. The realization that you didn't shatter. You sharpened. And now, every time they speak, they flinch at their own tone, wondering if you heard it, if you marked it, if you're coming. You don't need to raise your voice. Your silence says enough. Because real power doesn't announce itself. It walks in, rearranges the temperature, and watches the room sweat. You've become a presence they can't unsee. A constant reminder that no betrayal truly disappears. It just festers in the shadows until the day it learns to walk. And now it walks like you, breathes like you, speaks in riddles and retribution. You didn't just survive them. You outgrew their reach. You outgrew their comfort zones, their circles, their narratives. And now, they see it in the tilt of your head, in the stillness of your gaze. You're not angry anymore. You're beyond anger. And that, to them, is more dangerous than any scream. They thought closure came with time, that if they kept quiet long enough, the storm would pass. But you didn't wait for weather to change. You became the climate. You turned every whispered doubt into a declaration. You are no longer the victim in their version. You are the anomaly in their pattern, the glitch in their design. They built a world where pain was supposed to silence you, but you learned to sing through wounds. And now your melody follows them into every room. It's in the flicker of the lights, the pause before sleep, the way mirrors seem to distort them lately. That's not paranoia. That's you, reclaiming your space in their story. They will say you're cruel, that your return is vengeance, dressed in drama. But they forget, you didn't come back for revenge. You are the balance. You are the pendulum finally swinging back after years of being held still. And you don't need to punish them. Life will do that for you. All you have to do is exist. Be present. And their guilt will perform its own funeral, one memory at a time. Because shame is a funny creature. It multiplies in silence. And your silence? It's thunder wearing a tuxedo, refined, controlled, lethal. You've become everything they feared you'd become. Not because you lost yourself, but because you found the parts they tried to erase. No one tells you how liberating it is to stop explaining yourself, to stop asking why. Why me? Why them? Why 17 attempts? You've outgrown the need for answers. You're not searching anymore. You're collecting, like a tide reclaiming the shore. And every face that watches you now, they're not admiring, they're calculating, trying to guess when you'll move, what you know, who you'll speak to. You don't have to do anything anymore. You've become the suspense. You've turned tension into an atmosphere. You enter a room and oxygen gets nervous. That's not ego, that's evolution. They underestimated the power of resilience, of someone who doesn't just bounce back, but bounces back with new eyes, with colder blood, with no desire to be understood. You've crossed that threshold, the one where fear turns to fascination, where your enemies can't decide if they want to run or just watch. And deep down, they admire what you've become, even as they tremble. Because you did what they never could, you looked your own ruin in the face and didn't blink. You didn't pray for mercy. You forged new bones out of the old ones. And now when you move, the ground remembers. They see it now. You weren't the lesson. You were the test. And every one of them failed. Some with betrayal, some with silence, most with comfort. But you walked through all of it, with wounds, with weight. But not once did you lay down and accept the version of you they wrote. You tore it up. You rewrote it in scars and strategy. And now, there's no going back. Because when the unkillable returns, they don't knock. They redefine what it means to be gone. So let them whisper again. Let them pray this is just a phase, a flare-up, a moment. But you know better. This isn't a moment. This is momentum. This is the part where their old stories burn. And in the ashes, your truth becomes undeniable. You've become the storm that doesn't pass, the silence that doesn't fade, the reckoning that doesn't retreat. And it's only getting started. Because when momentum becomes movement, it no longer needs permission. It doesn't ask to exist. It consumes. And what it devours first are lies. You've become the erosion of their illusion. Every word they speak now tastes like fear disguised as formality. Every gesture reeks of apology wrapped in diplomacy. But you see it. You smell the rot under the perfume. And you smile. Not because you're kind, but because you already buried this moment in your mind years ago. This is just the echo catching up to the thunder. They underestimated what 17 failed executions could create. They thought they were scattering you across timelines, silencing you in fragments. But all they did was teach you how to live in pieces and still remain whole. You're not made of survival anymore. You're made of intent. You move like a prophecy fulfilled, not waiting to be written. And now, every breath you take reminds them of a fate they thought they escaped. But fate is funny. It doesn't forget. It just waits. And in you, it found its avatar. You walk different now, not faster, just heavier. Not with weight, but with worth. Every step is history recalibrated. Every blink is a file opened, a fact recalled, a face remembered. They sense it, not in what you say, but in what you don't. The restraint frightens them more than rage ever did. Rage they could dismiss, tame, label. But restraint, that's calculation. That's the prelude to something catastrophic. That's the sound before the avalanche. And you've become the hush before a collapse. They still ask around, still gossip in code, still wonder what you'll do next. But here's the twist. You don't need to do anything. You've already altered the physics of the room. Your existence alone shifts the hierarchy. You, the one they declared finished. You, the soul they tried to delete. You now sit at the head of a table they thought belonged to them. Not by invitation, but by inevitability. You didn't rise. You returned. But this time, not as a version they could recognize. You returned as aftermath. And aftermath doesn't apologize. You carry something now they'll never comprehend. Not just scars, but scripture. Pain etched into principle. Suffering restructured into sermons. Your entire aura now speaks in consequences. And not the cartoonish kind, the slow kind. The kind that unfolds over weeks, months, years. You are patient punishment. Not fire, but famine. Not thunder, but drought. You don't destroy, you deny. And that denial, it bleeds them dry. They thought the war ended when you disappeared. But absence isn't surrender. Sometimes it's strategy. You watch them relax, rebuild, rejoice, all while memorizing their moves. They thought you were gone, but you were merely gathering. And now, every corner they feel safe in has your shadow stretching across it. Because revenge doesn't always kick down the door. Sometimes it waits until they forget what fear felt like, and then it whispers. You don't scream for justice anymore. You embody it. Your silence is legislation. Your smirk is a sentence passed. You've become the architect of retribution. And the blueprints were drawn in the darkness they shoved you into. They didn't just fail to kill you. They failed to understand you. And now, understanding is a luxury they can't afford. Because you don't operate on logic anymore. You operate on lawlessness. A kind of cosmic balance that doesn't need validation. You are the scale. You tip as you please. They flinch when they see you now. Not physically, but spiritually. Their confidence dies in your presence. Their smiles crack like old paint. Because they know that you're not here to forgive. You're here to remind, to echo, to eclipse. Not violently, but thoroughly. You don't need revenge to be theatrical. It's more fun when it's surgical, precise. The type of justice that shows up in their own reflection, in the lives they tried to preserve by burying yours. And what of you? Are you bitter? No. Bitterness is too soft, too reactive. You've surpassed emotion. You operate now on frequency, vibration, alignment. You only move when the storm inside you hums in agreement. And when it does, entire timelines bend to accommodate. Because when the unkillable becomes untouchable, the rules change. And you, my friend, have become the variable they can't solve for. The question that keeps showing up in every equation, corrupting their formulas, cracking their systems. You turned every attempt on your life into ammunition, every betrayal into blueprint. You gave your pain a throne and watched it grow teeth. And now that you've returned, you're not looking for closure. You're looking for clarity. And that clarity has a cost. Not for you, but for them. They will pay in sleepless nights, in nervous laughs, in friendships that deteriorate under the weight of secrets. You won't have to lift a finger. You've already become their confession. Somewhere along the line, they stopped being people and became memories, fading photographs in a gallery you no longer visit. And yet, they still orbit you, hoping you'll look back, hoping you'll say something, anything, to know where they stand. But you've ascended, and the air up here, it's too clean for ghosts. You've severed the narrative. You don't owe them a conclusion. You don't need a final scene. Because the real punishment isn't being destroyed. It's being forgotten by the one who survived you. You no longer carry the past. You wear it. Like armor. Like mythology. Like prophecy. You walk into rooms and destinies shift. Not because you speak, but because your silence has volume. You've become the aftermath of 17 failures. A force birthed from every failed attempt to cage you. And now, you're not just alive. You're inevitable. Not because they couldn't kill you, but because you learned how to live without permission. So let the world spin. Let them lie. Let them dress the truth in silk and smiles. It doesn't matter. Because beneath their rehearsed performances and curated guilt, they know one thing for certain: you are still here. And that should have never been possible. That alone dismantles everything they built. You are the broken rule, the exception that didn't die, the scar that learned to breathe. And that's why they call you what they do now. Not a survivor, not a phoenix, not a legend. They call you the unkillable, because they've tried. Oh, how they've tried. And now they don't look at you with contempt. They look at you with calculation. Because next time, you won't need to lift a weapon. You'll just walk in, and the ground will split for you.